Have you ever considered a question? What do our dreams mean? Imagine you are standing in a perfectly ordinary room, speaking to someone you know, when suddenly you feel a strange sensation in your mouth. You touch your jaw, and to your horror, your teeth begin to loosen, crumble, and fall into your hands. If you have experienced this, you are far from alone. Approximately 39% of the population has had a dream about their teeth falling out, breaking, or rotting. For decades, traditional psychoanalysts following Carl Jung might tell you it symbolizes a painful transition into a new stage of life. Followers of Sigmund Freud might suggest it points to deep-seated castration anxiety. Yet, modern sleep research has uncovered a highly specific, grounded explanation. The dream of your teeth falling out correlates significantly with self-reported dental irritation and physical tension in your jaw upon awakening. It is entirely independent of general psychological distress or overall sleep quality. The dreaming brain simply takes a localized sensory irritation, dental discomfort, and translates it into a vivid visual metaphor of dental distress. This revelation captures the massive shift in how we understand what our minds are doing while we sleep. Historically regarded as either mystical revelations or meaningless physiological noise, dreammentation is now understood to be a highly organized, neurobiologically constrained cognitive process. It sits at a complex intersection of clinical psychology, evolutionary biology, and cognitive neuroscience. The systematic study of dream meaning began with the pioneering work of Sigmund Freud and Carl Gustav Jung. In his 1900 book, The Interpretation of Dreams, Freud posited that the primary biological function of dreaming is to safeguard our sleep from the disruption of unresolved psychical tension. Freud viewed the unconscious as a repository of repressed, infantile desires, principally sexual and aggressive, singular to each individual's life history. During sleep, the repressive defenses of the ego relax, allowing these unconscious drives to press for conscious expression. To prevent the dreamer from waking in anxiety, an internal dream censorship mechanism disguises the unacceptable material. This dream work translates the hidden latent content into the remembered manifest content via condensation, displacement, and symbolization. Freud relied on linear free association, maintaining absolute neutrality. His model was fundamentally retrospective, pointing backward to repressed childhood conflicts. Jung initially admired Freud, but eventually rejected his dogmatic focus on sexual motivation. Jung noticed that Freud primarily treated younger patients focused on early development. Jung's clinical population consisted predominantly of individuals over the age of 40, whose struggles focused on meaning, spirituality, and mortality. Consequently, Jung proposed a dual-layered unconscious, containing both a personal layer and a collective unconscious, a structural repository of universal symbols and archetypes. Jung asserted that dreams do not actively disguise hidden wishes. Instead, they are direct, spontaneous self-portrayals of the current state of the unconscious, designed to restore psychological homeostasis. Where Freud saw regression, Jung identified a prospective, teleological function. Dreams anticipate future developmental needs and guide the individual towards psychological wholeness. Because dreamers cannot consciously alter their dreams, the dreaming mind facilitates problem-solving by organizing deep conflicts into a classical four-part dramatic structure: the exposition, the peripeteia, the crisis, and finally the lysis, or resolution, which indicates how psychological balance must be restored. For decades after the discovery of rapid eye movement, or REM sleep, in 1953, physiological reductionism took over. The activation synthesis model argued that dreams were merely cognitive interpretations of random cholinergic signals originating in the pons during REM sleep, carrying no psychological meaning. But neuropsychological research by Mark Solms revised this. Solms demonstrated a double dissociation between REM sleep and dreaming. Patients with lesions in the pontine brainstem lost the physiological markers of REM sleep, yet continued to report vivid dreams. Conversely, patients with intact brainstems who suffered damage to the ventromedial frontal white matter or the temporoparieto-occipital junction completely lost the ability to dream, a condition called adremia, despite having normal REM sleep cycles. These ventromedial pathways correspond directly to the mesocortical mesolimbic dopaminergic pathway, also known as the seeking system. This subcortical circuit drives appetitive motivation, curiosity, goal-directed behavior, and positive expectancy. Pharmacological evidence shows that dopamine agonists, like L-Dopa, trigger highly vivid, bizarre dreams without altering REM sleep duration, while dopamine antagonists eliminate dreaming entirely. During sleep, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive function and reality testing, is deactivated. Meanwhile, the dopaminergic seeking system generates motivational impulses. Because actual motor execution is physically blocked by sleep state muscle atonia, these impulses project backward into the visual and spatial association areas of the temporoparieto-occipital junction, creating a hallucinatory, embodied simulation of goal-seeking behavior. This neurobiological cycle is clarified by the continual activation theory, which proposes the brain requires continuous activation to function during sleep. Non-rapid eye movement sleep processes conscious-related, declarative memory, whereas REM sleep processes unconscious-related, procedural memory. When sensory inputs disconnect and the prefrontal cortex deactivates, a continual activation mechanism generates a steady stream of data from long-term memory stores. This flows to conscious regions of the brain, producing the dream experience. Electrophysiological signatures confirm this. Frontal theta oscillations, between 5 and 8 Hz, in the pre-awakening period are highly predictive of successful dream recall. Furthermore, gamma activity, from 30 to 80 Hz, is closely linked to highly emotional content, vivid recall, and lucid dreaming, where the dreamer becomes aware and can exert conscious control over the narrative. While early models treated dreams as random noise, extensive content analysis demonstrates remarkable statistical consistency between waking life and dream content. This is the continuity hypothesis. Calvin Hall established its empirical foundation, demonstrating that the vast majority of dreams do not consist of bizarre, highly symbolic imagery. Instead, they depict mundane social interactions and realistic emotional conflicts. In a longitudinal study of a subject known as Barb Sanders, quantitative counts of friendly and aggressive interactions in her dreams closely tracked the documented trajectories of her real-world relationships. Waking life experiences are incorporated into dreams at varying rates. About 35 to 46% of dream elements reflect events from the previous 24 to 48 hours, known as the day residue effect. Other experiences undergo delayed incorporation, appearing 5 to 7 days later. This dream lag effect represents the neurobiological transfer of emotional memory from the temporary storage of the hippocampus to permanent neocortical circuits. Several factors modulate this. Highly emotionally charged events are significantly more likely to be incorporated. Personality boundaries also matter. Individuals with thin boundaries exhibit a fluid transition between states, with a previous day event incorporation rate of up to 94%. Dreams in the latter half of the night tend to incorporate older, consolidated memories, whereas early night dreams focus on recent day residues. Interestingly, covert focus, like deeply worrying about a situation all day, is just as likely to trigger a dream as actively doing the behavior. In a study of 100 adolescents, the time spent on waking activities directly predicted dream content. Adolescents who spent time with a partner saw that reflected in over 43% of their dreams, compared to 16% for those who did not. This direct mapping of waking concerns suggests dreaming is an active, adaptive mechanism shaped by natural selection. The threat simulation theory, formulated by Antti Revonsuo, suggests dreaming is an ancient biological defense mechanism. In ancestral environments, human life was constantly threatened by predators and hazards. The dreaming brain acts as a specialized virtual reality generator designed to repeatedly simulate realistic life-threatening events. By rehearsing threat perception and avoidance in a safe state, ancestral humans enhanced the neural mechanisms required for rapid threat detection during waking life. Complementing this is the social simulation theory. Because humans are obligately social primates, navigating interpersonal networks is critical to survival. The dreaming brain preferentially simulates social interactions to update cognitive and emotional schemas. Over 80% of all dreams contain mind-reading episodes, where the dreamer must infer the motives of other characters. Strangers appear most frequently, providing a broad testing ground. While daily social interaction increases a person's likelihood of appearing in a dream, this effect is reversed for primary support figures. When close family members are absent in waking life, their dream appearances significantly increase, suggesting a compensatory role in maintaining social attachments. Furthermore, the expectation fulfillment theory suggests dreaming biologically discharges emotional arousals triggered during the day but left unexpressed. Metaphorical completion in sleep prevents the creation of false waking memories. When functioning normally, this emotional processing acts as overnight therapy. The sleep to forget and sleep to remember model explains how REM sleep reactivates emotional memories within a noradrenaline-free environment. This consolidates the informational core while stripping away the distressing emotional charge. However, in post-traumatic stress disorder, this system breaks down. PTSD is characterized by elevated levels of noradrenaline within the locus coeruleus during sleep. Because noradrenaline remains active, traumatic memories reactivate alongside intense physical stress responses, leading to severe autonomic arousal and sudden awakening. This failure to decouple the emotion results in chronic nightmares acting as exact, literal replays of the trauma. A clinical study showed that PTSD patients experience significantly higher negative dream emotionality than healthy controls. Chronic PTSD nightmares carry severe clinical risk, making individuals 5 times more likely to exhibit suicidal tendencies and suicidal ideation. Fortunately, treatments exist. Prazosin, a centrally active alpha-1 adrenergic receptor antagonist, blocks overstimulated noradrenergic pathways during sleep. This restores the safe neurochemical environment required to reduce PTSD nightmares. Image rehearsal therapy allows patients to actively rewrite their nightmare's narrative to introduce a positive resolution, mentally rehearsing the new script while awake. Lucid dreaming therapy encourages patients to achieve lucidity during nightmares to consciously alter the script and facilitate fear extinction. Even everyday dream themes are deeply influenced by demographics and culture. Biological gender is a stronger predictor of dream content than psychological sex role orientation. Females report dreams more frequently, narrate them more easily, and utilize dream sharing for social bonding. Men's dreams are highly coherent and analytical, whereas women's dreams exhibit a more inductive, associative nature, alongside a higher percentage of dream victimization. Culture shapes both manifest imagery and interpersonal dynamics. Swiss dream reports feature verbal friendliness, like compliments, whereas American dreamers depict physical and material displays of friendliness, such as gift-giving. Anthropological studies of traditional forager communities, like the Bayaka of the Congo and the Hadza of Tanzania, reveal highly community-oriented dreams. While frequently beginning with severe physical threats reflecting hazardous environments, they consistently conclude with collective social support. This resolution is absent in post-industrial Western cohorts, whose dreams focus heavily on individual anxiety and unresolved stress. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Canadian student cohorts exhibited the highest anxiety dream content on record. Conversely, the Hadza show exceptionally low levels of negative dream emotions despite facing physical threats, indicating that traditional, cooperative social structures provide a psychological buffer. Extreme psychological depletion can also manifest physically in dreams. When Melinda Powell, co-founder of the Dream Research Institute, experienced severe clinical burnout, she dreamed she was hemorrhaging from her gums and required an urgent blood transfusion. An unconscious warning of physical depletion. What dreams represent is a multi-layered convergence of biological necessity, cognitive computation, and cultural expression. Far from being a simple byproduct of sleep, dream mentation is a vital, self-regulating mechanism of the human mind. Through the dopaminergic seeking system, dreams allow for the safe, offline expression of basic biological drives and personal concerns. By operating within memory consolidation pathways, dreaming enables the human brain to optimize its predictive models, prevent cognitive overfitting, and regulate emotional distress. The remarkable continuity between waking life and dream content demonstrates that the sleeping mind and the waking mind are structurally united, continuously working together to maintain psychological homeostasis and prepare the individual for the challenges of existence.